Hi, I'm Diana, the artist behind MyMcDoodles. Welcome to my channel. Hello, welcome back to another fun tutorial. Today we're going to draw some cute little donuts. I am using the app Procreate to do my artwork, and I'm going to make a new document, and I think I'll just make it an 8.5 by 11. It's really easy for me to work in, and it allows me to draw the images at a pretty good size where they're crisp and they don't lose a lot of resolution. And a lot of times I'm going to shrink it down anyway, so it's pretty versatile if you make your artwork in a bigger canvas than what you expect your end product to be. So what we're going to do is set up our canvas first. I know I need to make each of my little donuts about probably 1 inch wide in the end when it's all said and done. But I think I'm going to go ahead and draw them 2 inches wide so that I have a little wiggle room if I want to use this for something besides itty bitty stickers or whatever. So I'm going to go over here to the canvas, the actions menu, and then you choose canvas and drawing guide. I'm going to edit my drawing guide. It defaults to this grid. I'm going to edit it to make the grid a little wider. So it's on 2D grid, and I want to make my grid size bigger. And I'm going to click the grid size there and change it to inches. And let's say 2 inches. And that way I know if I draw it within that square that my image is about 2 inches big. And that's a pretty easy way to set it up and keep track of everything. You can of course make it whatever size works for you. You just adjust your grid size with this slider here, and you can also adjust your lines to make them more visible or whatever if you need to. Okay, so I've set up my canvas. Now I know if I'm drawing from here to here, it's 2 inches wide. I'd like to make my donuts. One really quick and easy way to make a dozen donuts, you draw one and then you're just going to duplicate it a whole bunch of times. So I'm going to draw my first one. And I like to use the brush called Dry Ink. It's in the inking section. These are the brushes that come with Procreate for free. And then it's here, Dry Ink. So I'm going to go ahead and use that one to draw the outline of all of my donuts. So I'll draw it once and then just going to duplicate that donut a whole bunch of times to get the rest of them. Draw a circle the best you can, and then you can place a finger on the screen while you're still holding your Apple Pencil down, and it'll make a perfect circle. So that is the border, and then for the inside of the donut, I'm just going to duplicate my outside border by swiping to the left and pressing duplicate. You can click the arrow to resize, and I'm going to turn off all this magnetics and snapping for now, so I can easily resize this without worrying about it snapping to the grid or whatever. Okay, so I'm just eyeballing that there, and I'd like to move my donut right into the middle of this square here. So I have a guide for my center. I don't want to leave it like this because I don't like when the borders are varying thicknesses. So I'm going to trace it in the same thickness as the outside border and just use this circle as a guide. So just turn down the opacity a little bit there with the slider, make a new layer on top, and just trace over it. Okay, so the center is not a perfect circle, and that's okay with me. I kind of want it to be a little bit wonky and not look like it's like a perfectly stamped out circular shape. So that looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and delete out my guide layer for the center there, and we could merge this down by just snapping the two layers together, and now you have your template for the rest of your donuts. So you could draw in the icing if you want them all to be the same, or you could leave it like this. I'm going to duplicate this one because I want to ice them in a little bit different ways for each one. So I'll just drag over to the left, press duplicate, grab my arrow. Since I drew it with the guideline on, I know they're all 2 inches. I'm just going to go ahead and turn off that drawing guide. I don't need it anymore. Okay, so I'm going to grab my original donut, duplicate that one again, and let's just slide it over here. Go back to the original, duplicate that one again. One trick I learned is that when you duplicate things, they get a little bit, they lose quality each time, which I didn't realize. And I was duplicating, like I would just keep duplicating up from my very top layer over and over again. And by the time you get to your 12th donut, it will be slightly less quality, which doesn't really matter if you're shrinking it down really little. But if you would like to retain as much quality as possible, always duplicate from your original. And you could label it too to keep track. Okay, so I've got 4. I'm going to go ahead and scooch these over here to make space. And then I want to group them together to make this process a little faster. So I'll just select them all, press group, and I've got them in a folder now that I can duplicate these 4 all in one swoop. So I'll duplicate it again. And this time, I kind of need to move them down so they're in like a row. So I'm just going to grab each one individually and just scooch it down. Okay, now I have 12 donuts to decorate. So these aren't all perfectly lined up, as you can see, and that's okay with me because I'm going to be arranging them differently and also exporting them as PNGs. And I have a special way I do that when I have them all on one page like this. So it's okay with me that they're not like perfectly straight across. So let's go ahead and get started decorating them. Just start with this group here. I do tend to like to keep one original and hide it, and that's just in case I need to go back and grab it for anything. So let's start with this one, and you can just decorate them any way you wish. I'm going to draw in my borders for like the icing and stuff now. If you would like to do that too, go ahead and we'll meet back here to color. Okay, so I've got my glazed donuts, and then these ones that are like cream filled. I made 4 of those, and 2 cake donuts, or these could just be like plain glazed or something like that. I just left them blank because I can make them in a different way, like just completely chocolate or vanilla or whatever. I don't really like cake donuts. Does anyone like these? If you like them, let me know in the comments. Is there any people out there like that? My mom likes these, and I was always like, oh. Of course, I always went for like this one or the one filled with cream. So anyways, we have a lot of variety here to choose from. And now we can go ahead and color them, which is really the fun part of all this. So what I'll do is I'll keep a couple of these like variations as originals, just so I could duplicate it if I wanted to and make more colors or whatever really easily without having to like recolor the one that's already done. So I kind of like this one. A quick way to figure out which layer this is if you set it up. So if you press this eyedropper tool and then you tap on it, it'll tell you which layer it is. Now in this case, all of my layers are named the same thing, but it would normally like say the name of the layer. If you can see, it pops up really quick. It says layer 1, and now I've selected that layer. The way to set that up is you go into your actions menu and you go to preferences. Then you can go to gesture controls. And then if you go to this layer select, you can click this on. So this eyedropper tool plus touch will invoke layer select. So that makes it really easy to figure out if you have like a stray mark or something. You could do that and tap the stray mark and it'll tell you where it is, and it'll also make you work in that layer, like it'll pop that layer up, so it's now your active layer that you're currently working in, so it's easy to just erase the stray mark or whatever. And it's also handy for things like this when you want to just quickly grab this layer and you don't want to like go through each of these and click it on and off to see which donut that is in this whole menu of choices. So I'm going to grab that one. It's highlighted here. I'll just copy that one and I'm going to take it down to my originals here and just name it original like glazed, and then turn it off. And then I'm going to copy one more of these cream filled ones in the same way. So let me find one, the one that I like the best. I kind of like this one. So you tap the eyedropper tool, tap the donut. Yep, it got it. And then you can go ahead and duplicate it, take it down here, turn it off, rename it if you wish. Original, whoopsie days. Original cream filled, I guess. Okay, so anyway, those are just a few like housekeeping things. So now we can go ahead and decorate them. So I'm going to speed up the video, decorate them however you wish, and then I'll show you the few different ways that I save these as PNGs to use them in different projects and have them really like easily accessible for a whole variety of projects. One thing I should mention is you might want to color in a layer behind your outline. So if you don't want to work destructively, I would suggest that. And also it makes it easy to just be able to like scribble like this all messy, and it doesn't matter. It's not going to cover up your border. So I'll be doing that. And then each layer after it's colored, I'll go ahead and merge it together with the donut outline that I am working with. Another tip that I have is if you don't want to go through and like color each one by swiping your pen along and actually like manually coloring it in, you want to use color drop, I have a tip for you too. I wanted to color this one by hand because I want to preserve this texture in here and leave like those little white spaces and just keep that inky texture. But if you want to just have like a solid color and you want to use color drop, you can do that too in a really easy way. Let's grab this one. I'm going to duplicate it, and then in the bottom layer, just take this and drop the color in, and then let's see, drop it in there, and it quickly fills it in. And then when you're happy with it, you just merge it down. You could do it on your main one too, but it doesn't really leave much room for error. So if you don't like it, you color it in your main outline. In this way, it's a little bit easier if you're like, hey, wait, I don't really want that pink, or I want to add sprinkles or something like that. You could just quickly go in and be all messy. It doesn't matter. You're not going to draw over top of your border. And then you can just merge it down. I don't really want to merge it down because I don't want to use color drop for mine. So I've colored all of my donuts. You can see that I've colored some of them white. Make sure you do that if you want to save as PNGs, because even though your background is white, you still need to fill in the space so that when you save with a transparent background, it doesn't show like this icing area as being transparent. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and put icing on some of them and decorate them and stuff. If you'd like to use the same brushes as me, I'm going to use this confetti brush that's available in the Celebration brush set on MyMcDoodles.com, or you can certainly just draw in your own sprinkles. And I'm going to use like a red color to make these little hearts on this pink donut, like maybe like this dark red here. I'm going to put a new layer on top just in case the hearts like scatter out in places I don't really want them, then I can erase it. So let's make sure that this is the donut I really am working on. Okay, and then I'll just sprinkle some of these in. You can see it just scatters everywhere, just like you were dumping sprinkles onto a cookie or something. So you do want to make sure that you have it where you can kind of like clean it up a little. So I'll put a few different colors of those. Let's see, let's go. Something like that. That's kind of cute. And then I like to zoom out to make sure when it looks smaller, it's not going to look all wonky. And I think I put too many sprinkles. And I drew it in my layer that I didn't want to. So let's just start over here. Okay, so I'm drawing in the new layer on top of my donut, and I'm just going to sprinkle some of these in. Okay, that looks pretty good. We don't want to put too many or it starts to like lose, you can't tell they're hearts anymore if they're all like clumped in. And then I'll just erase some of them that came out here onto the actual cake part of the donut and just leave the ones that are stuck to the icing. This one looks a little wonky. Maybe this. So some of them will have those sprinkles and some of them will have this other one. There's another brush called scattered sprinkles or sweet sprinkles, and those make it really easy to add things like that quickly. So let me try like the pink sprinkles on this white donut. So I'm going to use my trick to grab that layer, make a new layer on the top, and I kind of want to make that kind of big. There we go. And this one, it just fills it right in so easily. And no matter what size you make this one, it's going to draw the sprinkles the same size. So if you need to resize them and make them smaller, what I would suggest is just like filling in the space and then using your arrow tool to resize until it looks like the size you would like and the size that would make sense on that donut. So something like that I think looks good. And then I want to clean it up. So I'm going to go back to my donut layer and use the select tool, set on automatic, select my white icing area, and probably increase the threshold a little so it gets all the way to like the border of the white. And then that's where I want to keep my sprinkles. So I want to invert my selection by pressing invert and make sure I'm back on my sprinkle layer and then cut. So you can swipe 3 fingers down, press cut, and it cleans it up perfectly so your sprinkles are just on your icing and it looks like so cute. I think for the sake of consistency, I'm going to stick with these two brushes just so that all of these donuts look uniform, but this set is really fun to play around with and to try all these different types of just interesting brushes. They just add a little fun dynamic to your art. Okay, so I'm going to do red and white sprinkles on this donut. So make that nice and big, resize it. Go back to my donut layer, use a select tool to grab the chocolate layer, invert it. Go back up to the sprinkles and cut away the excess. And I'm really picky. I don't like how it's overlapping on this, this black border, so I'll just clean that up a little and then move on to the next donut. For this pink donut, I'd like to do something really special. So I want to make the sprinkles gold. Have you ever seen those like cake supplies that are really fun? They're like silver sprinkles and like silver hearts. I had some of those and they were just like so much fun to put on cupcakes and stuff. And I think they just make something looks like so special and fancy. So I want to recreate something like that. So I'm going to use my heart fetty brush and the gold foil from my Metallics Toolkit. That's also available on MyMcDoodles.com, and it creates like this gold foil texture right in your artwork. So you can just draw like you normally would using the special gold foil that comes in the toolkit, and it creates this really pretty like shiny texture that's really, really fun. I just always like adding glitter and like gold and metallics and stuff like that to my art, which, I don't know, just adds something interesting. I used to do a lot of digital scrapbooking, like a long time ago, and I would do it all in like Photoshop, make these albums, and I just loved when there were like elements like this that look real and you can work them into your pages. So that's been kind of the source of inspiration for a lot of the brush sets that I have in my Etsy shop. So I think that looks kind of fun. So I'm going to leave it just like that. That looks like enough sprinkles and enough gold for me. And for this one, maybe I'll do the same thing, only like just draw lines back and forth to make the gold like stripes on the donut. This time I'm just using the monoline brush that comes with Procreate. It's in the calligraphy section, monoline. And just do like this, like they squirted the icing across to make it look fancy. And I think that looks really pretty. I'll probably do one more gold one, maybe one of these pink ones over here with like the stripes going across, just to kind of have a few of those mixed in, a few sprinkles, a few hearts. So it's kind of like a cohesive set of stickers or whatever. I like all my donuts except for these cake donuts. I told you I didn't like cake donuts. I'm going to go ahead and add the icing on those. I'll just go ahead and use my original glazed, duplicate it, and decorate that instead and just get rid of this plain one. Okay, I went with a red iced donut and like a Simpsons donut. This reminds me of The Simpsons. The red icing, I don't know. Red icing is honestly quite disgusting. It has like gross food coloring in it and it tastes weird, but it looks really pretty. So I'm gonna do this with some gold sprinkles or a gold swoosh swirl thing. And then I'll probably put regular sprinkles on this pink one in like white or a color that'll really stand out. Now I'm ready to save these as PNG elements. So first I like to save the full sheet. So I'll just go in and turn off my background layer and go to this bench, shear, PNG, and it's going to save the entire sheet as a PNG of all 12 donuts. So I'll just save it to my camera roll, or you could save it to your files. That way I have kind of like a backup. And also if I wanted to just import a full sheet for some reason to just kind of like cut around the ones I want or put it in my good notes file or something like that, then I have it. It's easy. So then I also want to save each individual element. That way you can import them into documents just one at a time or whichever one you want. It's also nice to be able to use them already like pre-cropped if you use GoodNotes or a digital planner and things like that, or just have like each individual file so if you wanted to access it, a particular one, you have it, or if you're selling them, it's nice to have them kind of like already cropped for people. So what I would like to do, instead of just saving this whole piece of artwork like this, you can do share PNG files and it will save each individual donut as its own file, but it's going to save it as this little donut and all of this extra space on the side, which is extremely annoying because you have to go in and crop it, or if you put it in GoodNotes, it's like this all this extra area here that you don't need. So what I like to do is stack them all up, crop my canvas, and then save them that way so they're all cropped really tight around the donut. And that's just the way I do it. There might be a faster way or another method that you use, but this is how I do it and that works really well for me and it's pretty quick. Before we do any of that, I am not going to do it on the original file. I'm going to duplicate that and save this one just as is, all on the sheet, laid out exactly the way they are and not touch it. I'll go into my duplicate, which I think I'll go ahead and name so I don't get confused which is which. Okay, so what I like to do is stack them all up on top of each other. So I'll go ahead and rearrange all of them so they're all stacked up. Okay, that was really easy because they were all exactly the same size since we duplicated the one original border into the 12 different donuts. So they're all stacked up on top of each other, and then I'll just move them all to the center. I went ahead and deleted all of my originals, so now all I have left are all of my groups of these donuts that I've already colored. You can leave them in the groups, it doesn't matter for exporting. It'll export every single layer you have in this whole document. So now that you have all of them in the center and all lined up on top of each other, you just need to crop your canvas. So you can go up here to the Actions menu and click Canvas and then crop and resize. And you can do it manually, but you can also go up here to Settings and then type in the width and height that you would like. So I know my donut's 2 inches, so I'm just going to say like 2.2. Just kind of like line it up in the center there. And then that gives just like a teeny bit of wiggle room around the edges in case you don't have all of them like perfectly lined up or whatever. And then just check, make sure your other settings are the way you want, like your resolution and everything. And then you can click Done. And it crops down your canvas, so now you have this teeny tiny canvas and no like extra border around here that's gonna be annoying to crop later on. So once you're happy with it, you can go up to the wrench, the Actions menu, push Share, and then you're going to share it as PNG files, and that will save every single layer you have in this whole document as its own standalone PNG. So I'm going to do that. You can save it to your camera roll or your files folder on your iPad. I like to save it in my files folder. It just seems to keep it more organized, and then I can label the folder and everything. I don't have to go into my camera roll to import it into different documents. It just keeps my iPad more organized that way. So I'll push Save to Files, and then you can name your folder. I'm going to name mine Donuts. Donut PNGs, I guess. Okay, and then it'll save all 12 donuts into that folder. If you go into your files, then you can just check it and make sure. It looks like it has a background, but then when you click it, it's obviously a PNG and there's a transparent background. So now you can use these for your digital planners or just anywhere you would use like a digital sticker or a PNG file. You can put them in your Instagram stories, and there's all kinds of fun ways to use these. Or you can just bundle them up and sell them in your Etsy shop, or rearrange them on a sticker sheet and print them out. There's so much fun stuff you can do with it once you have them created. To use them in Instagram stories, you don't have to have them loaded into like their Jiffy app or whatever. You can just click this share button, push copy, and then when you create a story, like let's just say hello, and then you go to your file folder, you push copy, and then when you open your story, it automatically pops up this alert thingy on the side that says add sticker, and then you can add your sticker. And you can do everything that you can normally do when you use like their stickers or the GIFs that are included. You can resize it, flip it, whatever you want. It's just like another fun way to use these. I hope this tutorial was fun for you. I'd love to see your little donuts. If you post your work on Instagram, be sure to tag me at MyMcDoodles. If you enjoyed this tutorial, then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next fun project. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.